very exciting things scheduled for this next year. So I hope you enjoy them, and we'll have time at the end to ask questions. So sit back and get ready. Okay. That was my welcome. I'm not sure. I would like to acknowledge a few people. First off, I'm going to have the team introduce themselves again for those that might have missed it. You want to start at the end with Michael?
Michael, Miss Armstrong.
Stand up.
Stand up.
Stand
up.
You want to say what you do?
I do quality assurance. I find bugs and help developers.
No, he breaks things.
My name's Colin. I'm the CS and building manager.
They do exist.
I'm Tori Garino. I am the secondary artist.
Jim, I'm from Crawley. I'm your primary artist that you do items and do things in the store and everything else.
My name is Greg. Ironic Tablish. Some of you may know me as Dudley. And I am the designer. I'm Stephen Moreno. Me! I'm the software engineer.
I'm very proud of my team, and I want everybody to know that most of the team, except for the artist, actually play you up.
Despite things the contrary.
And have for a very, we will never tell you a show. Ever. Can you imagine being me and people knew who you are? No. Do you want to say a little bit about how long you've been playing or anything, or how you got into the world?
So the abridged version is I was a youngster in 7th grade. You know, Bonnie definitely does not like my admission to that. And a friend of mine came into gym class one day and he goes to me, "Dude, you've got to play this game. It's so cool. You can do anything. It's got dragons. You can like make stuff out of wood and you can like make stuff out of metal. It's so awesome. You need to try it." And I'm like, I'm sold. Packages in the mall, and it was right after the second age had launched, and I asked the guy behind the counter after picking up the box and pulled it open, what's this? And I asked him, does this come with the first age too? Because I had no idea. Went home, fired up the, I think I had a 56K modem at that point, and that was January of 1999, and I haven't stopped since.
Michael?
Well, Bonnie and I met in a game called Neverwinter Nights, which Richard and Star mentioned earlier. And we played Neverwinter Nights until it ended. A friend of ours got us into another game called The Realm, which we were not big fans of. And it was basically it's a story of going to maybe like a software center or some store like that. We found Ultima Online, bought it, and played ever since.
Since 97.
It's 97.
Steven?
So when I was first time,
You don't want to use that. You're not carrying it very well.
Check.
Let me know? There we go. So when I first started playing Ultima Online, I had joined the team at the time, so that was back in 2008. And my first MMO that I had played was called City Heroes. But when I first started to play Ultima Online, it was just so much depth in the character skills that I pretty much would spend hours trying to find the template. Then I would come into the office and talk to Michael about that template. and he would give me some pointers, and I would go and try. I would go out and try to recreate whatever those ideas were. But I think for the most part, I would just get lost in character creation and just trying to find the best template that I can make. So, that's my story.
I remember the first day that I logged into UO. Do you remember when you could talk and stay hidden? For those that have been playing a while. I was at Scarborough, and where the bees are by the bank, I'm standing there and the bees start talking to me. I'm like, this is fucked up. I'm going. And then I logged back in, of course, and started playing ever since. But I started in '99 as a contract employee making $50 an hour for a tester employee. And I mean, I'm sorry, not $50 an hour. That's my entire job. A month, not an hour. Now I'm the producer, so you never know where it's going to go. There's this skill set. Starting with the news that I'm waiting for. Yeah. Okay. All my current EMs, please stand up. All of them. Introduce yourselves.
Ian Rossidian or Jeff?
Can anybody doubt that? I mean, seriously. So, yes, you may sit down. Thank you very much. Where's your tag? Okay, just checking. She's fighting, so I have to make sure she stays in line. I'd like to thank all of you. You're doing a great job. We've been going for constantly, 8 years, which is the longest lasting program that has lasted. Usually before it was 3 months on, 3 months off. So for us to last 8 years, we've gone through a lot of growing changes and a lot of advancements, in my opinion, to the program, and hopefully we will make more and more. And if anybody's interested in getting an EM, please let me know. So, to the next one. Oh, no, or not. What's coming in our next publish? We have so many good things to tell you, but I'm gonna let other people talk. And would you two like to come up, please? Does it your turn?
Steve's first. Use the other, please. I know it's a Mac.
So what's coming in our next publish? So we're excited to show you that in our next publish, we have a couple of updates to the enhanced client. One of them is the updating of the particle filter options, which allows you to filter all particle effects, or you can filter all of the area effect particles. So you can decide which one of those, and that should help out with lag within EM events as well as other dungeon areas. So we're also adding the ability for players to cancel pet training, and that will allow players to remove any remaining points that they have on their pets. And the last update for the enhanced client is to provide players with the ability to scale generic gumps without scaling up the entire UI. So you can scale up the generic gumps so that you can see some of that small text.
What's a generic gump?
What's a generic gump?
Yeah.
So with the latest event in the quest, there were several town criers.
Yeah.
The the town criers, and some of that text was kind of small. So now you can scale up those dumps.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. And I'm going to pass it off to Greg here.
Now we get to talk about the fun stuff. Those are very important changes that I think you guys are really going to appreciate. But what else is coming in the second part of 98? Ta-da! Vet rewards. So everybody gets excited this time of year as we give you all a very big special thank you to the years of support that you have given to the game. As you all have noticed over the past couple of years, we've been trying to theme out the vet rewards so that each year we introduce a new item to that set to complete what you've been collecting. So this year our new power tool is an enchanted writing desk. So in the past we've given you the ability to stack crafting tools into a house add-on so you don't have to continuously re-up the tool you're using. And in this case we're doing it for inscription. So you'll be able to load this thing up with inks and quills to do all your scribing needs. It's really neat, and the artists did a fantastic job. In-game it animates and the little quill dances around, so that's exciting to see. On the bottom there, you guys might recognize some of those statuettes from the current event art that is going on. We have Titan statuettes this year that make different sounds when you go near them, just like all of the other statuettes, to expand that collection. Over on the right, you will see 3 koi ponds, so how appropriate that our hotel has a koi pond, because you will actually be able to place these in your house. They are house add-ons. Again, artists did a fantastic job. If you'll notice, especially on the grass, they were able to actually do it in such a way where the water effect kind of falls into whatever you place it on top of. So it's not just a flat piece of water as we kind of come to expect when you see water in decline, but instead you get a lot of depth out of it, and it really pops. Yeah, and it's a water source, so you can't fish in it because you can't, you know. Right, well, then we don't need you like pulling out sea serpents and like a scaleless in your backyard. Well, you can definitely scoop water out of it with a pitcher for all of your cooking and watering needs. And then finally, in the middle there is our newest mountable ethereal. That is our serpentine dragon. You can actually mount that puppy and drive it around. It does a really cool kind of swimming, slithering effect, kind of like Falcor from the Neverending Story. So it's been a big ask from our Japanese and other Asian player base. So, well, you know, of course, we would love to be able to give you a greater dragon to soar around on. A little bit of limitations. So we've got a dragon in this regard here. So after vet rewards, what else do we have coming in 98 Part 2? Well, this is our busy season when it comes to the holidays. So somebody asked me earlier about new rewards for the Artisan Quest. I don't know where they are now, but I told them in about 45 minutes you'll find out. Well, here's the big reveal. You will be able to get new different vices and virtues themed items from the Artisan Festival. We also updated the art on the pillows. The pillows from the original implementation looked kind of more like sugar packets. So we've kind of just added a little bit more pillowness to them by adding some tassels, so that those will look great on your couches and other sitting areas, beds, lovely decorations there. We've got a couple of new lanterns that are all light sources. We've got new wooden sculptures that sparkle when you turn them on and off, and then the paintings to add some of the additional vices and virtues. As well as new regular holiday items that you'll get in a token, like we do every year, and those are the ones along the bottom there. From the far left, we have a jewelry box. That is available through the holiday gift token, and I don't know how well it's going to show up there as a technical scrunch, but basically you'll be able to sort by whether it's a ring, a necklace, a bracelet, or a talisman, or earrings, and you can add jewelry to it and remove jewelry from it. It holds up to 500 items, and we have that beautiful belt to display your most prized jewelry. The individual item can be dyed with a number of dye tubs, so you can match it to any color scheme you so desire. Along those same lines for the holidays, we also have a candy cane, some bells, a ribbon, and new holiday garland. Yes, which is a light source, so you can turn it on and off and it will twinkle, and then the light doesn't twinkle, but you get a nice little aurora kind of lighting effect, which is really nice. Yep, they are much easier to put up than the fireflies. All of these come in a number of different gaming combinations, so go forth and collect them all. The candy canes, I believe, are hand-dipped by a member of the dev team. The bells are, I want to say, members of the EM team potentially. Or no, the ribbons are the EM team, the bells are something else, but the garland is hand-strung by some alliteration of a creature in Britannia, so like cowardly cats or something like that. I put together a whole list and you can collect them. So those are really fun. Then in the far left there we have our Valentine's Day gift this year. This is an inspired piece of art by an actual piece of furniture that sits on our tiny little terrace outside of the office.
I pulled really hard to do this.
But you get 4 chairs and a table. When you turn the table on, that little heart kind of, it just looks like jumbled pixels up there, but it shows a beautiful smoke ring heart that kind of puffs up from the candle. So you'll be able to get that, and it comes in a heart-shaped box over there on the left, kind of like a pen.
Make sure that is Valentine's Day.
Yes, Valentine's Day. And Bonnie is going to talk to you about some other new exciting things coming in 98 and beyond.
Okay. I get the good ones. Everybody's familiar with the US store, right? In-game store? Okay. So these are some of the things that we're putting in for October. I wanted to put in like a veil, like the Day of the Undead, you know, and a undead top hat. So when you buy these, you'll get a veil and a top hat. When you put them on, you turn white. So that's what goes on, which I think are kind of cool, you know, in a sick way. So what can I say? And then we're doing a big spider mount for the house. We'll be selling that in spider trophies. We have come up with 5 different robes, as you can see. I wanted to make sure some of them are very feminine for the ladies, since we kind of got to do that in the past. So you have a choice when you buy the robe, you have a choice of picking which robe you want. And those are what they look like on the avatars there. So these are for the next few months, and then we have more later, so we'll tell you what those are later. And we are developing a store for you guys to go to buy shirts, to buy mugs, to buy pictures, to buy canvases. What we're going to do is provide them with the art, and you guys can take the art and stick it on whatever you want. So they will ship international. That's one of the reasons why I went with this company, and I think they're going to do pretty good with it. So we'll see how it works. These are some of the samples, mouse pads. The mouse pads that you have are a sample of what they can do. So we're looking forward to getting that up, and it should be up by the end of the year. Well, yeah, by the end of the year. And we are officially almost finished with our own forums. If you do not have an active account, you cannot post. We want feedback. We want to be able to go there. We want to be able to hear the voices of the people that play, not the people that don't play. So, this is one reason why we are pushing this to where we can easily post what we want to post. If you are rude, if you do not follow the rules, you will be immediately banned from the forums. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Not going to play here. Okay. I don't think we'll have too much of a problem. I've got my fingers crossed, but we'll see. I can't read this. You know, it sucks to get old. Reading glasses. We're gonna have several different groups. The EMs are gonna be able to post on their own chart. If you post something in the CS forum, Colin will answer it. He's going to discuss and try to come up with ways, which you can talk about if he wants to, on how he's gonna improve billing to get back accounts to help with this. And later on, I know that we've told you over and over that we're going to fix the account management page. Well, as much as a disappointment as it is, I have to say that the gentleman that is supposed to be working on it, or has tried to work on it, is trying to deal with 20 years of spaghetti code. It's not easy. We might have to break it down and do it anyway, but right now, he just doesn't have time to. He doesn't have the time to dedicate to breaking it down and redo it. My main thing that I want to do above everything else, which I'm pushing for, is for you guys to link and unlink your own accounts. That'll be huge, I think. I'm working on it. There's no guarantees, but I hope that's the first thing that we're actually able to do for you guys. Do you want to talk about Colin? Anything that you want to do for CS? It's very mundane.
Quick and dirty to the point, like Bonnie said, we want it to be easier for you as the players to access, link, unlink your own accounts, especially with the EJ coming up. People who want to get into EJ, not having to, I'll try to get all this in the basket. Everything that we can do as far as getting you easy access to your accounts, not having to jump to the hoops. We know how terrible the account center can be. That's what we're going to support for them, so I can jump in there and see what you guys might be going through in game and build and try to get that faster. We're going to update the Herald support section, some more concise information, so you're not having to go through all these layers of info trying to find out what you can do, reset passwords, how to unlink. So that's more or less it. It's very concise to the point, but we're just going to build and trying to get you guys better account support.
So, this is my bleed in, right? Are you ready for this? This is exciting news. The Endless Journey. The Endless Journey is a way to get players back into the game. The reason why we're doing it is to hopefully encourage people to come back and try what we've done, to see what's going on, to see what we're doing, to give you guys more people to play with. As you know, some of the shards are lacking on people, so hopefully we can bring your friends back, people that want to PvP, and I don't know about anybody else, but I can go into several. We went into GameSpot the other day, and Michael had on a broadsword shirt, a UO broadsword shirt, and the guy behind the counter goes, "Oh my God, I used to play that game!" And 5 people in there are like, "I played that game too." I said, "Well, it's still going." They're like, "No shit." Marketing. Wear your shirts. No, but stuff like this, we're trying to get it out there. It'll be advertised what we're doing, what we intend to do, what we hope to achieve with it, which we're going to talk about a little bit later as we go, and different things that we hope that will help bring some of the people back to explore. Keep in mind, this is very limited though. I just told you what it is. It's a way for people to get in. We are not at all going to put this as a I win button or win to play to win. As I said, it's going to be very, very limited as to they cannot have houses. They cannot have boats. This is not a way for you to pay for 1 month and get 3 months free. If you cancel your account, you cannot go to Endless Journey for 90 days because you cannot go into houses. You cannot play EM events. You do not get presents. You do not get rewards. You can go in dungeons, you can PvP, you can use the bank, you can play with your friends. But if you want all the benefits, we're not doing this so you guys that are sitting here as our veteran players immediately want to quit paying so you can go play to win. Play on the endless journey. It's just not going to happen. That's not what we're doing this for. So please keep that in mind. If you do this, you have to wait for a very long time to come back to UO. And you will not get anything that you're getting now. Basically, you can play. And you can do it with your friends. But hopefully this encourages people to come back, see what we're doing, and want to stay with us. And that's what we want to do. So, how about Steven?
Okay, so we're super excited to tell you guys about several features that are coming with the Endless Journey. One of those features is our new vault system. Now, with the vault system, players will be able to have a shared storage across the entire server for all of their characters for a monthly fee. Now, if a player misses a payment, other players will have a unique opportunity to start a bidding war over the contents of those items. So another feature that's coming with the Endless Journey, it's not shard mergers, but it helps out a lot. We're making improvements to the general chat system. We're improving our profanity filters, and we're implementing a new temporary banning system, which is aimed at getting rid of spam as well as inappropriate language. But we are proud to announce that we are going to add a cross-shard direct messaging to Ultima Online, which will allow players, after receiving a request, to be able to chat with their friends on other shards directly, privately. And I'm going to
So one of the other issues that we have with any new content that we introduce, or anytime you as a player want to do an event, or anytime you as a guild want to do an event, or anytime any of you, the EMs want to do events, is that there's no streamlined method to get that information from the person who's doing the event to the people they want to attend the event. You heard Richard talk earlier when they were up here about the connection between us as the quasi-government and you as the citizenry. And over the 20 years of UO's history, we've had kind of hodgepodge systems to take care of that. So we have the in-game town criers, which limit us tremendously with the amount of text that they can bark above their head. Even more so with our Japanese players, because Japanese characters are twice as wide as regular English characters. So we're limited, right? One of the things that we tried to do with the last arc was get around that by giving you the town crier newspaper. So you guys heard me talk about that fateful day when I walked into Babbage's and opened up the T2A box. And if you remember that box, it opened up to the town crier. And the idea of having an in-game newspaper makes a lot of sense. It's where people go for information. So what we're happy to announce with the Endless Journey is we're going to streamline all streams of information for us as the development content, the EMs, the city governors, and guilds to a single GUMP-style menu-based town crier system. So this way you can get what's going on in the realm at your fingertips, whether it's through the actual town crier NPC in the cities,
for your Sherry the Mice statues or your Coral the Owl statues. We will be using this as a way to kick off quests. Part of the Endless Journey is to provide people who are coming back with a way to experience the 20+ years of content that Ultima Online has to offer. In its lifetime, UO has had over 1 million players. If we get even a fraction of that back, that's great for you guys. UO is all about the community, and it's its greatest resource. So we want to give you the tools to enhance that community as much as we can. Because after all, that's what makes this game so great, is being able to play with people who share your goals and share your interests. By allowing players to come back and experience all the new content directly through the town crier, there's less of that feeling that I'm lost in this big, vast world. And I want to be clear, we don't want it to be a complete, get on your little roller coaster cart, and here we go, yeah, here's the question. UO still has to be UO. It's still about exploring, it's still about discovery, it's still about finding things out about the world, but a little help doesn't hurt, right? Beyond that, we're also going to allow the EMs to put their information directly into the town crier, so you'll know exactly when events are, what time events are going on. They'll be able to put a lot more than just a 48-character line of text into the town crier NPC to provide more immersive stories and drive that narrative that they're pushing. We're also going to merge the current city governor bulletin boards into this. So one of the things that we often hear from the city governors is that they want to be able to talk to their citizens, right? They want more tools to communicate with them. As kind of a stopgap to that, we added in the bulletin boards of each of the cities where they can post a headline with some information about the goings on in the realm. We're going to take that, bring it up to date with this system, and then merge the two so we don't have these disjointed information streams. And then finally is the ability for guilds to interact with this and post their events and recruitment notices. So this way, guilds that are looking for new members, guilds that are looking to go out and just hunt people or whatever they want to do can interact with this to say, hey, we're out here, come and play with us. So what does this mean for the veterans? Well, for one thing, we're going to give every account Stygian Abyss for free. So if you have been waiting on some accounts to upgrade, hold off. If you want to pay us, that's great too. But we will be giving everybody access to all of the Stygian Abyss content for free. It also means the continuation of all of the veteran rewards and promotional items and all of the holiday content, things like the Treasures of Halloween, all of the pumpkin carving, all of the treasures of Halloween dungeons that we've been doing. EM events, all of the stuff that you have known to come and love about Ultima Online, we're not abandoning that. We want to make sure that you guys understand that you are our primary audience. And we're doing this specifically for you because we know that having a bigger community, for the most part, makes for a more enjoyable experience. So we want to get people back. We want to get some of your friends that have maybe filtered out of the game back in so that you can play together. It also means continuation of content arcs. Despite some hiccups along the way, the last content arc we did for the Elemental Titans has been relatively well received. I know you guys want more ambushes for those last two elusive ambusher drops, but for the most part, the timing of it and the kind of the cadence of that event worked out a lot better than some of our previous arcs. So we're going to continue to do that stuff as well. And of course, we're always open to talk to you guys about what you want to see next. And whether it's a new feature or just an event, we're here for you and we're here to listen to it and do that for you. And I think with that, we are going to talk about what comes after the Endless Journey, because there's always a future, right?
There's always an after, isn't there? So, what we've been doing for the last couple of years is at least trying to get in one. I didn't touch it. It's beeping at me. We're one big bug fix, doing nothing but bugs. No new content, just going back and fixing some of the old bugs that you guys find irritating or we really need to fix or whatever. And it gives us time to take a breath and not have to be creative, just fix. So that's going to be part of our next publish, including castle builders. I got so many suggestions on castles that there was absolutely nothing I could do with. Nice suggestions, but for actual practicality of it, no. What Leap is gonna do is build a tool that works on TC1. You will be able to go and actually build a castle. At that time, we will review all the castles. We're not gonna limit to how many, because if history serves me, the banks that we did, some of them were really good and some of them were really bad, but that was the only one that came in. So we're gonna reserve the number for now until we actually see what you guys build. At the time, whenever we start trying to decide which castle you guys might want to have or own, we'll probably try to get some kind of survey from going in on TC1 and telling us which one you like best or whatever. Maybe put up numbers on them or something, you know, to make them easily identifiable. So that's the idea for that. But Steve is going to be doing that. Yay. And it's going to make it easier for everybody. So that is coming. We have not abandoned the idea of building new castles. We are going to do like some virtue update for, of course, people coming back, and a lot of you guys that are PvPers want to see some changes, and we've listened to you, so we're definitely going to make some changes in that. For published 102 and on, we have not decided. These are some of the ideas that we came up with. A High Seas 2.0 would be something like it may be a new sea creature champ spawn, you know, and redoing the ships, redoing the way you load cannons, redoing the loot from the pirates because they kind of suck, redoing some of the quests, you know, from High Seas, something like that. Or we can update the community collection, maybe redo the zoo, make sure it doesn't decay as fast as it does right now. Some of the other things, update the loot, update the things to turn in, stuff like this. User-generated quest system. This is something, we are a sandbox game. You guys want to do your own quest. So instead of trying to contact us, put in a system to where you guys can go someplace and say, I want to build this, this, and this, and in this area, and maybe spawn this mob or whatever, and give you guys a choice or tools to be able to do your own quest system and your own event without coming to us. A lot of you guys actually use the player event coordinator, which is very cool. That's what he. Sorry. Yeah, I know it's a he. That's what he's for, you know, but I still think it'd be better for you guys to have it in your own hands instead of relying on somebody else to do it for you, you know. Whenever we get further down, after we get through the publishes and we have our forums, we'll be able to set it up as to what you guys really want us to do next. If you have other suggestions, tell us. You know, don't be shy. Don't be rude, but don't be shy. We're open for suggestions. It's your game as much as it is ours, you know. And if it's not possible, I'll flat tell you it's just not possible. We have X amount of time, and I like bang for the buck, and to get you guys the most at each publish that we can on something that you're going to enjoy, not just one or two. So we have to make sure that it's for the mass, not just for the few. So I hope you guys understand that whenever we say no. We will continue with our meeting weeks, so that's also a time that you can make suggestions or just write us either way. What's next? Guess what? We are at our question and answer time. Yes?
I've got a couple of questions.
Okay.
We got plenty of time, so fire.
Well, the first one that I was going to ask earlier is when is this kind of return to UO event?
Endless journey.
Endless journey.
Yes, we are not doing a return to Britannia anymore.
So friends and family who have accounts who haven't used them, when are they going to be able, and they'll be able to log in for free?
If they own a house, it's going to be a 90-day period. I want the house gone before they come back.
No, but if they haven't played in a long time,
Oh.
their account could be activated.
We've been working on it already. Blake's been working really hard on parts of it. We still have quite a bit to go. So we're probably looking at around March, maybe. Don't quote me.
Okay, and then actually.
Yeah, don't lawyer us on March, but that's what we're shooting for.
A while back, there was a glitch or whatever, and some of us, thank you, stand up.
I can see.
Yeah, and stand up. Pat, and we all worked together hard, real hard, died a few times to get some dragons, chocolate colored, in Medusa. And then all of a sudden, they
So
disappeared.
you're exploiting Medusa?
Not looking at it. The question is, there was a glitch apparently, and you closed the glitch, the bug, whatever.
That's called fixing a bug, yes.
Why did you have to change our?
Because you should have had them in the first place.
Well,
If
you
we
have
want to put chocolate dragons in, we will, but you
Blue
got it
dragons.
from an exploit.
So,
And if it was a purple dragon, would you want us to keep that purple too?
yeah.
Well, not gonna happen.
I thought you were a nice lady.
Sir, do you know my nickname? Do you know what I do?
You kill people.
I know, and I enjoy it.
Okay, I'm asking a question for Margaret, my good friend who is Adrian Monk. She's odd job, she's the fixer on Catskills and Atlantic. She had a cooking apron, human, that she changed to gargoyle, and it didn't work. She said she contacted you personally, and you said you were working on it. Is there any hope for people who are gargoyles with cooking aprons to ever
Is this the
have
full
those
apron?
work?
Is this the full apron?
Full apron.
Yeah, we're aware of that. It is on our list. We are aware of it,
I
yeah.
just wanted to tell you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you all.
Let's start around the corner, yeah.
I have several questions, but just to start, for organization, it would be nice if on your house you could put a sign. And have it highlight whatever you're looking for, so that your servers don't have to back up so many files of similar items.
We still have to back up.
Whatever you need to do, but rather than these, can I just back up and ask you a question about how many subscribers we have?
No, I will not tell you that. I can't tell you that. That's not information that EA will let me release. No, we're actually doing really well. But as far as your house organization is basically what you're wanting.
That or bank organization?
Well, bank organization, you're actually doing like a enhanced grid, the grid type thing. We are putting in a grid type thing for the bank, for the clients. We have been asked about the house organization or being able to go to a chest or whatever and do a gump and see what's in it or whatever several times. And you wanna answer that?
Sure. Yeah, as of right now, we're playing around with the different, viewing options for banks, so that potentially will solve your issue. If you want to talk about it after Q&A, we can do that as well.
What about housing? Remember we've talked about, we've got this.
The housing search, well, so the housing search is kind of difficult. Basically because there's several things. For one, it depends on how many items are within your house and how that impacts server performance for everyone else. So you potentially trying to find a particular thing may, depending on how many items that are in your house, may cause some issues. And it's also trying to determine whether or not how you want to search for those items. So if we're saying that we want to be able to type in the name of said item, then it gets a little bit more complicated as well because we have to deal with localization. So
We haven't figured it out yet.
yeah, it's on.
Would that be the same as vendor search? I mean, could you do that in your own house? And you said localization.
Right. So it would be, it is kind of similar to how vendor search is set up, but it's different because of the amount of items that vendor search has versus how many items did you have in your house, right? So that's the only difference. We may be able to limit it to specific sets of items. That might be a compromise that we can do, but again, we would just have to get more feedback from you guys in terms of what you're actually looking for. So I don't want to say it's off the table, but it is a difficult task.
It's up here. It's not. It's still like a high level discussion stage because we don't know how to do it yet. Yes, sir.
I've got a couple of questions. First of all, jewelry box.
Yes.
Will it take one lockdown?
Yeah.
Full 500 items?
500 items, one lockdown. You've only been asked to
It-
what?
it is
5,
now.
10 years,
Yeah, I think it's.
Excuse me?
Will it get a tree this year?
An artisan festival tree? It depends if the good citizens of you and the crafters can put enough BODs in the elf's bag.
Last year's problem was, when we ran through the time allotted, you was the last now.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
There was not enough time to get it.
Okay, so what we can do, that's a very good point. We can flip it, so we'll snake the list. So,
I just wanted a tree. Wow, one of our bill differences is the governor of you.
I can give you a Charlie Brown tree. I'll give you a Charlie Brown tree.
That's fine too, we'll build it up higher than that. We got the bots ready to go.
oh, they are locked and loaded right now. There you go. But yeah, for this year we'll snake the list, so we'll start at the bottom.
Fair enough. And lastly, tying into what was said earlier, is it my understanding that the possibility exists of having a grid view for a backpack in CC?
Yes.
Yes. For us that can't really see, but the can see it. Yeah. Back here.
In terms of just the amount of items in houses, I find a lot of the stuff I end up storing is, it's non-stackable stuff or, old gifts that aren't really valuable, but you don't want to throw out because you might use it for decor. Like, I must have 200 marble tables stored away somewhere. Can you guys?
They could be rare one day.
Maybe look at some of the old, somewhat semi-rare gifts like marble tables or the old garland styles and make them craftable.
No.
We can make them when we need instead of storing 100 of them.
No, we'll just give them out. Why are you storing 100? Seriously.
Because they could be rare one day. We've done that to an extent with some of the promotional items in the past where we've given out recipes. Depending on the item and what it does, we like to do a mix because, after 20 years, it is a bit of a challenge to come up with stuff that is going to be, cool to collect, and, we don't want to tip our hand completely. And I think you noticed on one of the slides we talked about community collection updates, so there you go.
Also keep in mind that we'd like to keep some of these things to revisit with them.
Yeah.
And we can't give you guys, we can't let you make everything. We gotta keep some stuff for us. So sorry. So that's a big fat no. Yes, sir.
One question on, question is,
In this journey? Because you guys aren't paying us. You're actually coming in and able to play with your friends without giving us a dime.
You mean it's an endless journey account? So if you deactivated your regular account today, you would not be able to return on that account as the endless journey account until the housing timer expires. So your house will be gone then. Because if you think about it, like, we can't give housing away for free, right? That is the commodity that people have. But we still want to provide some level of the game to experience to people that, you know, maybe they can't afford it, or maybe, you know what, I haven't played in a while, I don't know if I want to commit to it. So by at least, you know, finding that balance, we can strike that, but the line in the sand is essentially housing, right? So. Right.
Right. But you know, we have items in the game where you can actually label chests, where you can identify what's in there. You know, go figure. So there is, you know, something in place for you guys to help organize your stuff. You know, unless you're like me and you come in from a dungeon or a chance spawn, you know, whatever, just chunk stuff down. You know, and then I wonder where it is. So.
Let's go. We go out there and get a fish. No, I want to start smoking cigarettes. Well, where's this governor Ben? Yeah.
Where's our EM then?
We have a new EM.
I met him last week.
EM came in here for 3 weeks. She's been here 3 weeks. But she does a Thursday 1 week and a Sunday. And then she does a Thursday and a Sunday.
You're off on Sunday? You try to go? Oh yeah. Sunday's my only day off.
We had it covered here.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
That's the way to do it. I'll be more active now.
First off, you said
I
several
am
things that
Phoenix
made me
and
go.
Trenton.
It seems like there's an issue always with everything that you said, that you're not getting something that you're going to or whatever, so we really, the problem is whenever you guys tell us this, we have to reproduce it. You have to give us enough information to actually reproduce it, and that's my issue. So, if you will email us with specific details, enough to reproduce it, you know, we will do it, and then we can put in something to explore further.
They were so angry.
How about that?
PvPers came in and took that away from all the trading people. It's funny. So then we were trying to get a bunch of fish and fill our house with just all these fine fish. And they paged the GM and even Mesanna.
Like community crafting, or you mean?
This lady's we just stack up the whole fucking as high as you can on every time.
Right, this is something we're looking to
Some of the last
improve
governor's meeting,
and
that lady
to,
quit.
you know, all along. So
We
that's
went in
something
there
you can
during
look at
governor's
that.
meeting and just filled the whole room up with fish. The lady quit. Fuck this and that.
Hi, me too.
That's pretty funny.
Yes. Alliance only, or, yeah.
Yes, we can do that.
We can do that. Oh. Yes. No, there's not. At this point in time, we're not adjusting the IDOT system due to the fact that we're actually, to be honest with you, right now, it's basically 90 to 95 days from the time you drop an account to the time the house falls, right? We have a lot of people, which some people do it, some people don't. And I've heard a lot of you guys complain, people that do it don't complain. You pay for 1 month and you basically get 90 days for free. Hold on. With the endless journey coming, that means that unless we change the decay rate of houses, then you have to wait a full 90-something days, at least 95 to 100 days before you can come back into the game with the same account. So we have been talking about it and trying to decide if it's even worth changing the amount of decay rate on houses. But at this time, we're not touching IDFC houses as far as the decay rate goes.
Well, that's a big gameplay for a lot of us.
Yes.
When it was changed before, and I understand the reasoning why it was changed, to eliminate some of the stripping and whatnot.
Right.
Now, typically the 5, 10, 15 hours.
Right.
But, for like me, I can't sit there for 15 hours, in order to have a house call. So typically the only ones that's benefiting are the guys that do strip because, I can't sit there, before when you do the exact time, if you got a general idea, you can say, okay, well, I can revisit it, X amount of hours. Now, you can wait until 15 hours where, to sit there for, come back at 5 and come back at 10 and come back at 15.
But look at it this way, if we put in, I hate to call it storage wars, bank wars, whatever we're gonna call it, that's another form of IDOC houses, except for it's on banks. So you're able to take advantage of the love of taking somebody else's items.
I understand that, I just don't like that, typically at, I would say, 90% of the houses that we go to, it's the same people there, because they're the only ones.
Yeah, but we can't really control that. We can't control who does IDOC houses.
No, I'm not saying that, but it would be different if even if the timers were shorter, yeah, 369, because the 15 is so far, like I can't sit there for 15 hours and wait for a house to fall, because I would literally, like, every 5 hours, and check that, and even if the times were shorter, I'm not saying
and you can also go the other side, and they're saying that if we do that, then it's easier, for them also.
But at least it gives an opportunity to guys that actually are there.
There's people that have scripts that
It's a rock and a
yes,
hard
as soon as it
place. We'll
disappears,
think about it,
so
but right now, we haven't,
let it set off
we
in the
haven't
line, log a
put
character
any
in and
plans
start
to adjust
randomly
it
picking
again.
shit out.
I'm not saying that we won't, I'm just saying we haven't talked about it.
No matter what they do, it's the scripters are gonna want them.
Right. I understand what you're saying, and I'm not trying to be mean about it or anything. It's just, honestly, this is a team, minus Colin, because you're not, he's in CS, he doesn't work on the part of the game that you guys can see the most, actually putting stuff in the game. But there's not many of us, and we do what we can, and right now, changing the timers is just not something right now that we want to get into again, to be honest with you. Because we caught so much flack at the beginning, we still catch flack about it. Even changing it at all, so, we're not gonna do it, we'll talk about it more probably in the future, but we're just not gonna touch it. Yeah, but that requires people working together. And not everybody works together.
I said, I hope that's picking up.
Oh, yeah, and it sounds like they've got a group of close friends that do it, which would, okay, you take this amount of hours or whatever, whatever you can, and I understand what you're saying. But you also see that a lot of the people that go there are just greedy and they try to get everything for, for themselves. So yeah. Right. Great.
Every other stop.
I hear you. I mean, we'll talk about it and see if it's something that would be good for everybody. We'll talk about it. That's all I can say. Yes, sir? In the back with the hat.
I'm sorry, I stepped out during the uncertainty part. I just want to make sure that I'm clear. A new player coming in can play for free, can't have a house, can't have any of that. Can they upgrade to a subscription and
Yes.
gain housing?
And, I
So
read
it's
that.
just the existing player that has to kill their account.
The cool part about this is, which everybody that has ever done a trial account knows that you have to wait the whole 15 days. Even though you paid, you will not have to do that. It's immediately, as soon as you pay, within 24 hours, your account will be active with all the benefits.
So a player 2 weeks in can say, I freaking love this, I want a house.
Their paid account,
Awesome.
exactly.
Another question I have, any possibility of putting a status bar on a mannequin for suit builders so they can see their stats and can swap pieces out with a mannequin?
Stat bar on a mannequin, so we
That's a
can
good
get a
idea.
suit.
One last question.
To answer your last question, great idea, and it's a potential. We would have to look into it, because sometimes the difference in display versus characters that are players versus NPCs, but we would have to look into it, but it's potential.
Sorry, Bill member was asking about the stacking of primers, but I think that was handled, binding primers, that was handled at a recent meet and greet, wasn't it? Binding of primers, level 1s and 2s.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Are we gonna be able to bind level 1 and 2 primers? You know,
Oh, for the
throwing
masteries?
around right into the spawn?
It's something that we talked about when we were doing the initial development for Time of Legends, and we kind of went back and forth on whether or not you would have to be able to use like a 3 and immediately be at a 3, or whether you would have to do a 1, 2, and 3, and then like should you be able to bind them. And it's still something, because it's not super new, but it's still relatively new, so we still kind of like to see people trying to go for the 3s, but we also understand that if you want the 3 and the 1 and the 2 are available and you don't kind of want those, instead of just throwing them away, you can do something with them. So it's something we would have to evaluate all the kind of components to, but we can
Right
talk
now,
about it.
besides finding them, I think we'd be more prone to, originally, before we get into it too, is just maybe donating them for points or something.
Right. And my last question is for you, Mesanna. Can I have a shard?
I'm sorry?
Can I have a shard, like my own shard? Why don't you draw me a shard?
Next.
Well, try.
Yes, ma'am.
My understanding that artists in Ultima, when there were 1 or 2 shards that are actually able to complete that. Is there any way for us to lower the numbers so that most of the shards, especially smaller shards, have a fighting chance of being able to complete that?
So I will disagree with you on just the first point of that most of the shards weren't able to do it, because of course once it started, that's what everybody said, right? I mean, we go through that a lot because you've got 2 widely vast ends of the spectrum. You've got Atlantic over here that is got tons of people, and then small shard X over here that doesn't. So I made a point for the whole month of December last year to visit as many trees as I could to go through and see. And I will say the majority of them actually were able to get to the final stage of the tree. It took a lot of gameplay and it took a lot of BODs. At the time, BODs were, the new system was still relatively new. Now, we've had a year to kind of stockpile. With that said though, we can look at the point thresholds and see where they fall now compared to where they were last year from the logs and make changes as necessary. What shard were you playing on? On Baja? On in any city? Oh, I hope you voted that governor out. Gotta go. But working as intended. You didn't get the star on top? The full-size Rockefeller tree?
Yes, sir.
I have faith in Baja. You can do it.
Especially the last couple of years, we've seen a huge increase in the number of people playing multiple accounts. I'm not talking like one or two annually. I'm talking like 10.
So you're talking about multi-boxing?
Yeah, I'm talking about multi-boxing.
Okay.
And first, I'm not going to get into how I think.
Let me stop you right now. Stop. As whenever we release Endless Journey, multi-boxing is going to be illegal. Multi-boxing, nobody's going to say jack to you. No GM is going to say anything to you. They're going to sit there and observe you. If you have 6, 8, 10, whatever kind of characters, and they're all doing the same thing at the same time, you're gone. It's yours. So, until then, you're just going to have to put up with it. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes.
All right.
When they do these events,
Have you,
you gotta
yeah,
transfer
have you
the
seen
drop.
on strategy where the whole screen is
You can make these
fire?
characters.
Are you playing in the enhanced client?
You have 10 of
In the enhanced client?
group hitting it. Each one has a chance for a drop.
Yeah, yes, it will, a dramatic,
It's not working correctly in the enhanced line right now. We thought it was, it's not. So what I posted was wrong. Is the particle effects really going to help with the EM events? Yes, it is. It's going to eliminate the fields of fire, so you won't be seeing that to lag out. Well, then that's, we're giving you the tools. If you don't use them, then shame on you. Yes. Yes. Yes, ma'am. The whole thing, it's a pain in the butt, isn't it? Talk to him.
we'll look into it.
With the classic client, the name bars, when you put them up, they're all linked. If you click off one, the whole bar disappears. So we definitely need to fix that. We'll work on it.
So before we go, what happens now? We get this a lot with our meet and greets too, because people are like, yeah, you go to the meet and greets and we say, yeah, we'll look into it, or yeah, and then it's like, oh, well, they'll never get to it. What happens is, all of the things that you guys ask us to do, all of the bug fixes, everything get prioritized into what we call the backlog. And that's essentially how we plan our publishes. And just so you know, in my little magic book here, I'm taking all the things that you say, because I don't have my computer in front of me, and these will get entered in, and they will eventually get addressed at some point. So, fear not, they will get done, eventually. Yeah, that's the other thing too, is whenever you guys suggest something, we never just kind of say, I mean, some of the stuff is just really out there and we're like, no, we can't do that. But if it's a legitimately intriguing idea, we will sit around and yell and scream at each other, make score and banter look like child's play, but just between us, because that's how you have to work through this stuff until we arrive at the best solution that we can. And, you know, unfortunately, sometimes it's not what you would hope we would do, but, you know, you also have to remember that we have the full picture, right? We have seen behind the curtain, so just remember that when we say, it's not gonna work, it probably won't. Or if it will, you'll see it in a future publish.
Just remember that sometimes whenever you guys have these suggestions and ideas, we look at it and go, oh, I can exploit it like that. So, and we're probably the most passionate team that I've ever worked with and seen in several of the games that we've worked in, like the Mythic Studio when we were there. We've worked with several teams, and we are still the most passionate team that works together. We're like brothers and sisters family, because oh my God, you think we hate each other when we're discussing stuff. We're like, what the
And then
hell are you
it's like,
talking
hey,
about?
what's Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, but we actually do. And we shoot each other, you know, the whole bit. But we get it done, we hug it out, and it's all good. We go to lunch, it's all over. Before you have an aneurysm, go ahead.
No offense.
Do you think that like fishing baits can be promoted, can be more added instead of more limited? I think right now it's going from being like one
No, he does it.
Yeah, when we get to the fitting, we'll look at it then, but until then, we're not gonna touch the fishing bait.
Time he leaves like that, I think he's just not coming back.
Right.
And he comes back every day.
No. Not for in your backpack, no. Are you talking about lockdown in your house? We've actually discussed this several times. It's come up multiple times at meetings.
For me, it's hard for stocking my bidders. I have a few people who actually sell bonds on the bidders as opposed to storing them.
Well, not everybody does. They
And
actually use them for storage.
a lot, there are a lot of creditors, Kahuno and one name legacy miners. And of course, Kahuno maybe just floating around. Is there anything that we get recipes even do requests to improve those?
No, I'd rather keep them for if we ever want to use them again for.
We've done that to a degree with some of the old Doom artifacts.
Yeah.
If you remember from, I think it was Treasures of Halloween last year when it was in Doom, maybe. You have to also remember that the holidays for me, still like Halloween is in July, so my brain, like, you know, we're so far.
Interesting. Said I would've went and talked to her.
Right, so where we can,
You still talk to her at all? She said, well, she just didn't make it. Yeah. Talk to her on Facebook all the time.
Or use them for Halloween.
right, so in the future, we try to, whenever we introduce new recipes that require old artifacts as an ingredient, it's retroactive to all existing. So you don't need to get a new, like, there was one that, from, I think when it was in the Cottle City, Staff of the Magi. Like, you didn't have to go get a new Staff of the Magi, you could use the old one. So whenever we do it, we allow that.
There's a file. Sold that motherfucker.
The old one, I'm sorry. Oh, cursed?
For the
Got it in my book.
One of the challenges throughout the game's history is that as you know, crafted items power goes up, then the loot items value goes down, and then as you balance it back and forth. Right now, it seems like we're at the point where the legendaries are by far the most powerful, and the crafting capabilities, what you can produce, is just at a lower tier. Have you talked about how you want to address that next and even them out? Are we looking at maybe?
We're constantly trying to address that. I mean, just know this. It's easy to give you guys something. It's really hard to take it away. We upset a lot of people when we take stuff away. So, and we're dealing with more than just things that we've done. You know, past developers, past, you know, team members and stuff they've done in game where we have no control over what they did. So we're left with their mess.
I think that's fair.
You know?
I think the question is, can you potentially consider a boost in the imbuing capability, maybe the enhancing? And then the other piece is right now, human and elephant loot is far superior to what you can get for a gargoyle. So I think it's
We agree with that because some people hate gargoyles on our team and they absolutely won't put anything in.
That's not true. That's not true.
sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to get some reports of the land exactly up for you. So I have to contact someone.
The landing's acting up what?
Landing's acting up right now, it's down. People are logged in, can't recall, can't.
It's being looked at right now.
Well, Ben is here, so we can't blame him.
I'm sure this having an issue.
Something about weird
Could you
stuff.
repeat that? I'm sorry, we didn't hear you.
During this new invasion,
Uh-huh.
we're getting these weird items dropped in our backpacks, the weapons or the weird stats and stuff. Are
Uh-huh.
they used for anything?
You can use them to kill stuff. No, but yeah, no, you get to, they're yours to keep and take home and share with your family. Yeah, the Bain property is pretty boss when you start destroying stuff. And I hear there's some pretty sweet mage books dropping.
Yeah, buddy.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. She's had her hand up for a while. I'll get you next as well. Yeah.
Not had a real good relationship with you. And I just wanted to say, we have right now the best EM that is doing a wonderful job. And so we want to thank you.
He's new and he's trying really hard, but he's very energetic and he's very creative.
ADD is amazing.
Yes, sir.
Oh, fuck.
Tell him to kill something, he's over there for 30 seconds, and the next thing you know, he's standing by.
You mean the pet AI?
Yeah.
No, we haven't looked at pet AI. We can probably look at that if it's a big issue. If it's specific pets, you need to tell us. If you, before in the past, we had a huge problem with nightmares. They just wouldn't listen. They just run off no matter what. But it's not all pets, or else I'd have so many people knocking on our doors, it'd be ridiculous. So if you're having specific problems with specific pets, please let us know.
When we break for the thing later, find either Stephen or I or Bonnie or any of us and let us know more details about like what it is and where it is, and we can look into it. Okay?
Yes, sir. No. We asked you guys, because we were like, we can do that, no. But no, the consensus was, no, not at this time. Sorry. Yes, sir.
Piggyback on the question about the invasion weapon. My opinion, one that's shared by people I've talked to about it, most of the weapons are junk. The only weapons that, in my opinion, are even worth keeping are the bows with the bang. They can be imbued. Now, you lose your overcapped stats when you put 4 or 5 mods on them. The other weapons, the swords, fencing, and mace weapons, you can't even imbue them. To the other weapons.
I think the issue with the other weapons is the damage eater property.
Right, so if you get a weapon that has damage eater on it, when they originally implemented damage eater, it essentially says you can't imbue it anymore, right? So this is one of the things, gentleman back there asked about, this power creep, right? You know, you guys have all been playing the game for a long time. So obviously if you go out and you fight something, you want to get a piece of loot that's like, yeah, I got some loot here, right? You don't want garbage, right? Nobody wants garbage. So we have to get very creative with giving you stuff that isn't garbage. So with this particular invasion, you kind of have some like higher end items, like the spell books and the bows and stuff, but maybe not so good on some of the other stuff, right? And we try to cycle it to different classes as we can, because if we just say, all right, here's the best bow, the best spell book, the best weapon in this 3-month-long or 3-week-long thing, because we don't want this one to drag out too, so it's, you know, on a shorter schedule, then all right, next publish, oh man, we need to come up with some new artifacts or something like that. So we kind of stagger here and there, so knowing that we did spell books and bows this time around, in the future you might see, I don't know, broadswords and longswords or something like that.
Makes sense, I appreciate you taking the time.
Of course, yeah, my pleasure.
And I'd like to end with, maybe do a, turn-in on 10 or something.
Hang on to them.
Just a question on the invasions. Was it intended, and if so, can you explain why, that at the first wave of the invasions, the mages spawned then, but they never spawned any more during the invasion? So what's happening is, because the spell books are so cool, everybody's running in and killing all the mages, and it's taking off now, and you still got everything else you've got to kill. So was that intentional? And
Are you trolling me, Fane? No, so the way that,
makes sense
so,
to me.
the way that the invasions work, you guys probably recognize them from the War of Shadows, right? So as you can see, we are a limited team, so we try to reuse as much event code as we can instead of rehashing an entire new system. So in this last publish, we did Halloween, the invasion arc, and a bunch of other stuff. So, you know, we had to turn on this old system. And the way that that system works is the way that you just described. Now, it's not just specific to mages, it's just whatever happens to be in the way that it's set up. So it says, all right, I need to spawn some mages, and they pop up over here. Now, obviously, the things that are most desirable right now are these spell books because they're high end. So people will go and hunt those first. So the perception is that, oh, they get spawned in the beginning and then they don't respawn. But once those are killed off, then it's like, all right, now we got to move on to the next thing. So ideally, that system would not work like that, but that's just the way it is now. And you know, unfortunately, none of us wrote that. Moving forward, if we were going to redo invasions at some point, we would address that issue so that it's not a case of you're getting all the best stuff right up front, and then everybody's like, all right, peace out, I'm going to make a sandwich. Well, the rest of you clowns clean up this mess, right? However, I will say that for those that don't stay around and destroy the Titans, they will forever have to live with the burden of knowing that they abandoned their fellow citizens and have brought shame to their name, and forever will be known as cowards throughout Britannia. So, I mean,
And he brings out the
that's on
shame
them.
adder. Shame, shame. A what? No, no, not right now. Not right now. We are talking about the things to add to the store. We want to make it for you people that actually mine still, instead of buying all your ingots. We're gonna put in a tool that lets you have 100% smelting. So you don't have to waste your Valorite and Barite ingots, you know, which is just a pain in my opinion, especially when you're a GM or whatever, it's just wrong. So things like this, we're always looking for things to put in, not with I win buttons, but everybody's time is valuable. We'd like to be able to let you come in and do something in a shorter amount of time than sit there and struggle through, sweat through it whenever you really want to go play. So we're looking for things like that to make it a little bit easier, such as we were actually talking about a tool that lets you, each piece has a certain amount of resist on it. Well, Michael will sit there for days. I need this resist and this, and I need this and this and this, you know, and he'll make them over and over and over. So instead of doing it like that, just saying, okay, you're allowed this many, you can put at what you want. So we're thinking about that. That's not a guarantee yet, but things like this is what we're thinking about trying to do. Who I have? Yes, sir. We'll talk about it, how about that? Yeah. I understand, like, right now it's like random generator that makes it items, put this stuff on it, and sometimes you're like, well, I don't need this. Yeah, so we'll talk about it. So who has not? Wait a minute, let me get somebody that has it. Yes, sir. You with the hat.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'd like to thank you for the nice earmark.
Are you welcome?
My question was, will we get eventually get the chance to brew beer in the game?
We're actually talking about it.
Well, we already, you can do some alcohols right now. We did the wine barrel, what was that? Right, the ale table, but that doesn't actually, so there is an ale table coming out. You can get it now, actually, in your, it's either the Plenty or the Cornucopia. And those will recharge come November if you have, if you're missing charges. You can't brew it, but when you double click it, you get a free beer, and I don't know if there's anything better in life than a free beer. But I can certainly add that to the list.
Yes, sir.
Just real quick, I wonder, two things. Is it possible to get a tool for Classic that would let us see the cube of things? Like the pen and EC, you can see what color number things are?
Like in the EC?
Yeah, just like a little pen, like the pen and canvas graphics. I think that would cool to like see what color it is. You know, one thing I'd be calling for.
Yeah, that's doable.
It's just a couple of lines of code.
Yeah. I hate that word. I swear to God I do.
Also, for an alcohol session, when we brew it, would it be possible to have longer names? I think it's like
That's a little bit more difficult than it.
Yeah, it depends, especially with the Japanese characters,
Yeah.
because there is a limit to how long the item property thing can get, so probably not.
Yes, sir.
I just want to say that the recent Shattered Obelisk has been amazing because you got so many players who go back fishing and doing treasure maps, and anytime you can create anything that gets people to do a wide variety of activities and games, bringing it together. Even the Artisan Festival, to do all the different crafting and putting that all together, that's awesome. I did have questions though. One of the things that I often talk to people about, everyone says they love this idea, and I really don't know how hard it is, but when you customize a house, you save what it's going to look like when you're done designing it. How hard would it be to have a drop-down menu on the house side that said 5 blueprints, because you love the way the person designed their house?
That's a little difficult.
That is.
Yeah, because we have to have that actually saved on in our system, and it's not like we're going to go to every house and save every design. So no.
So we've talked about this before. We may be able to revisit it again, but I think we just need to investigate exactly what we need to do in terms of.
18 by 18, your house actually is 18 by 18.
Right.
The other thing is something I've asked for a long time is apparently having brand your pets, so you can have a nice little title on your pets, and that you can engrave your boxes and your bags and your armor and your weapons, but not your clothes. I've been wanting for a long time to be able to engrave my clothes, especially my older people. I mean, they have like horses.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Okay. And then also, is there ever going to be a chance that vendor tax can be raised so it's not 175 mil?
Not right now. Look, that's a discussion we have to really talk about.
All right.
I would rather not throw out an answer without us sitting down and actually agreeing and talking.
And one last thing. Right now, you can hold a shield or a lantern in one hand. Is there ever going to be an opportunity where you can hold a musical instrument and have the same kind of, you could be like a lantern or a
We
shield?
actually have talked about this, having instruments that you could hold.
That was the first thing that I ever emailed UO@origin.com about in 1999. But I wanted to hold a bottle of beer, I think. But It was definitely instrument related too, so I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, Jim can actually attest to this, but it might be to where instead of a shield, it's that character slot. So I'm pretty sure he can do it. He can say yes or no. Is that doable? You gonna shake your head?
Yes.
At the top? They can hide your mouth. Yes, sir.
Could we get an API added to the client for third-party applications such as an IPC socket to make it easier to build things like Ultima Mapper and make it more reliable instead of relying on GoAssist's old API? Come on.
So, I think we would have to discuss it a little bit more in terms of how much dedication we want to put towards that. I'm not saying no, but
He's not saying
it
yes.
would be a little bit lower on our list of things that's happened, just because of resources.
But it would just be, so for instance, currently for Ultima Mapper, I can get the information for class client from GoAssist, but for the enhanced client, I have to write a custom Lua file. And then it withdraws from the hard drive, which can cause issues because there's constant reads and writes from the hard drive. And that's far less than optimal if you want to use something like Ultima Mapper or even your cartographer, which uses the same method because of the age.
But you also have to understand that we do not want to open the door to illegal third-party programs and make it easier on them either.
Right.
I'm just saying, these are things that we have to think about. These are things that, without discussing stuff like this and seeing the ins and outs and everything else, putting stuff in and going, oh shit, we should have done that, is not a good thing.
Well, all we would really need is get points X, Y, past it, and maybe man. That's basically all we're asking for is an output. Don't even accept an input.
You can talk to Steven about that more
Yeah,
online.
come see me after.
In other words, I want to hear this. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Do you actually think I need your permission? I'm just asking. Sit down. Sit down. Don't even start that shit here.
Ever since I was peed on.
You guys do not understand. We went through a meet and greet, not once, but twice, with this one little goblin that I wanted to choke. I have never cussed so much in my life. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? He's like, we want these, and I'm like, what? And of course, I'm not real good at goblins. So I'm sitting there going, now keep in mind, behind the scenes that you guys don't see is, we're sitting there on chat, and we're talking to each other, and it's a good thing you can't hear us. Because we're like, holy crap, what the hell is he talking about? But yeah, I wanted to kill you. But you will be very happy to hear this. For all the people that want to role-play goblins, and this is something we come up with because right now they're the most role-played, which we can extend it out to orcs and the other things that are in the game. Right now you have to use a slot, which is your ring or a fishing pole. We're taking that away. What we're going to do, we will be selling it in the store because we're already giving you a way to do it in game. So this is something, it's going to be in your backpack. It'll be on and off at different colors. We're going to start with the gray or the green goblin. We will add other ones as requested, but it's the easiest way for us to let you guys have your weapons, have all your armor, have everything you want to wear, and still be a goblin or whatever and role play in the game. You're welcome. And yes, I'm going to kill you.
So the question, if you guys didn't hear it, is how is the loot determined in the town invasions? Is it right? Is it different towns or whatever? So it doesn't matter which town it is. It is based on the rank of the humanoid that you kill. So if you kill a recruit, they're going to have maybe garbage. But if you kill a general, maybe not. And it runs the gamut in between there. In terms of who gets it, it is based on what you hear us talk about sometimes known as top attacker, which is actually a terrible name for it because it's not just about damage that you do to the mob that you're killing, but it's an aggregation of the damage that you do to the mob, the damage that you take from the mob, and the damage that is healed that the mob gives you. So it factors those three things. And that system is, anytime you get like a backpack drop, that system is usually what's in play. No, it's based entirely on how that list gets generated, and then depending on the scenario, how far down that list we go. So, for example, with the Titans that we're doing now, doesn't matter where you are on the list. If you're in the top spot or the very last spot, as long as you're on that list, you get credit for the next part of the finale, basically, which will start next Wednesday, I think it is. You'll get credit for that. In other scenarios, like the Treasures of Halloween stuff, those drops depend where you are on that list. And it runs the gamut in between there.
Yes, sir, back.
For the Endless Journeys account, you spoke about a few of the restrictions, like housing specifically. Can you touch on any of the other ones? I mean, is bank storage going to be reduced?
Okay.
Are they going to be
This is
every single quest
something
line?
that Stephen touched on about the bank storage. Let me address this first. You are not going to come back in and have full access to your old bank. It's just not there. You will have limited access to your old bank. You'll be able to pull out the items that you want more than anything. Your bank will always be there. If you decide to pay for the account, you will have full access to your bank, right? But you will not be able to get everything out of it.
Okay, so one of the specific restrictions I wanted to ask about if it was considered was with fell spawns. Will Endless Journey account be able to do a fell champion spawn? I mean, the concern is people with ghost camps. You know, after they die, they sit there just so they're part of a bigger PvP guild, waiting to see other people come in and immediately call in raiders against everybody. I think that's anybody who PvPs and doesn't fell content knows that's a concern, especially if you're on one of the more populated shards.
Yes.
It's true, but all the PvPers also want people to PvP with.
Right. So one of our focuses with the Endless Journey is, that is on our radar. We will be looking at ghost cams, stealth cams, trying to find a solution. Find solutions to those problems. But in terms of them doing actual champs, as of right now, yes. But we are still evaluating restrictions. So.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry?
No.
No, we cannot. Yes, sir. You? Yeah. We're not going to do anything with skill caps for endless journeys. We want them to be able to play.
Yeah. So as of right now, we will not,
We're not going to touch the skill
change
cap.
anything in terms of the skill caps. It's still based on monthly at this point. So.
We want you to play, but we don't want to take away from veteran players. But we still want you to be able to get in and have a full character to be able to play with. You are going to be restricted just
asking if there's a way for PKers to contribute to the treatment.
Okay,
I guess. As of right now, no. With the current implementation of the Artisan Festival, it'll basically be exactly what it was last year, sans the new awards and evaluating some of the caps. Unfortunately, in this development cycle, we don't have a whole lot of bandwidth to change it drastically. That being said, though, we have talked about holiday-themed content that is more in line with the style of play that you describe. You know, for Halloween this year coming up, we haven't released any of the fiction of the backstory yet, but you'll notice that a lot of the Halloween rewards are kind of Christmassy, holiday themed. And for me at least, The Nightmare Before Christmas is one of my favorite movies. So, inspired by the idea that we can have this holiday bleed that goes back and forth, who says that the holidays always have to be a joyous time? Maybe there's room in there for something heinous and sinister and murderous, which we've talked about before. So, definitely on the radar for the future, as we've talked about it.
Yes, sir.
Bonnie, what's the thing we haven't talked about, prayers that I really enjoy. We got a couple of them on specific concerns that I enjoy. And I just wondered if you can comment on the future of prayers test. And I'd
This
also
is-
like to know how you get into them, to where you can actually, get stuff. How you can use this prayers.
I don't touch them. I will decorate a little bit for them. I will set up events, but those are purely players. Yes, sir. It's not us. It's purely players.
I'm sure we've got some rares collectors in the room. Somebody want
Yeah,
to
I know of several.
make a new friend over here and get this man some plats, huh?
So I would start talking to them because they could probably give you some more insight. One second. Yes, sir.
So you have for the gadgetries for like the sewing and blacksmith, you can only use regular items. Is there any chance you can put roots in there that you use? And I have like.
Let's look at runic system.
There's actually specific restrictions that are in place to prevent high charge runics from making it onto production, because that happened once and it was not good. So the likelihood that we would allow high charge runics to once again exist on production is very low. And by very low, I mean not at all. So sorry, no.
Thanks.
Just a clarification, I was looking at some of the posts on Stratus, there seems to be a little bit of confusion about the 90-day decay and the endless journey. If your house, if you let your account lapse, you can still rescue it any time in the 90 days if you want to start paying again, true?
Right now, yes.
Well, when the endless journey comes out, if I have a couple months and I have to close it.
If you close your account, you've lost your house. Because once you close your account, once Endless Journey comes out, and people are able to log in and play, then they have lost their house.
On an
There's no
Endless
way to
Journey
get rid of it.
account. Like, what she's saying is basically, once your account is eligible for Endless Journey, by that point, you have already gone past the 90-day time.
Right, but if I haven't gotten to the 90
Then you can, yeah, then nothing changes. in that
Nothing's
regard.
changing right now.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So you can still let your account look like redo it 2 months later to keep the house up. That's what a lot of people do.
That's Steve.
I'll try healing someone, but I'll get a message they're at range, bar is still,
Are you asking if, hold on a second, are you asking us if we would extend the range or just give you a better message system?
Allow him to specify the range.
Oh.
Yes, I understand there's.
Well, if it's specified the range, it's extended, that they can heal? Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's saying that you're gonna extend the range then.
I want,
thought
Right,
they
so-
I thought that it turns gray when they're out of range now. It should.
I'll take a look.
That's what it should do.
I'll take a look.
That's what I was
and see if we can
It should turn
provide
gray.
that ability.
Find one of us afterwards and we'll make sure to
Okay.
exactly the details.
Any more questions? Yes, no, God, no. Yes, sir. You.
Tom Pryor, are you gonna open it up to like, town-specific, people? Because I know, I think it's, Great Lakes, there's an extra bulletin board at Vesper Bank, which is specifically for Vesper, people from town Vesper, like buy, sell, trade. I've asked for one for Catskills, but, the Roundhouse said it was up in your hand to place that bulletin board and make it specific.
That's my hand.
So the bulletin board, there's two at every bank, right? There's one that the governor can post a headline at, and then if you click on the little blue green thing, it opens up into the full article. Those are getting transitioned into the new town crier system, right? So those will all be getting taken off, or you'll just get the new gump whenever you go and interact with that object. The other bulletin board you're talking about, I know what you're talking about, and we can, as part of this, make sure that that is at every town so that we don't have to manually place them anymore.
That'd be very helpful if someone trying to get hold of somebody or whatever.
Right. Plus, you'll also have the new chat system, which is going to be super awesome
Use
to
the chat system
fix
and
that.
remove those bulletin board personally.
What town are you a citizen of?
Governor of Vesper.
Ah, the best town.
I have a couple more. A couple more quick ones. Now, for the town invasions, I know it's ending very soon. Are you gonna have complete armor sets like the hands and the helmet, the condition set, and yummy and body? Unless those two are ultra rares.
So for the armor sets, what they have is what they drop. Okay. The whatever they wear is what falls into their armor package. So they won't have it, but they currently don't have. The other question was about the Humi and the crossbow.